Hi, I'm Nicole Crane, and today I'm going to be talking about the upcoming webinar on Tuesday, the 27th of August. And I'm also going to talk about not really the differences, but more the additional sessions that are available in the Exquisite group coaching package that are not available in the starter package, because I'll be talking about that a little bit on the webinar. So to jump right in, let me grab this link again. The webinar has a link for the registration, and I am going to drop that in the comments right now. And okay, so the webinar is going to be on permission and allowing yourself permission. So the reason I developed this tool is because in the past, it's been especially important to me to kind of get like I like to call it a sanity check, but really what it is making sure that the people who are close to me approve of my like huge, big decisions. So the biggest example that comes to mind is when I quit working at eBay. I had to, like, I knew I was going to quit. It was like the third time that I had like cried on the floor during my shift in like a 3-month like span. And honestly, like I'd been dancing for I think like a decade at that point. And I was like, I have literally cried once in a decade of dancing. And in 3 months, I've cried like 3 fucking times on the job. This is ridiculous. I cannot operate under these conditions. And it really took talking with my supervisor at the time and her like literally saying, I give you permission to quit, because she cared about me enough to allow me to validate my own experience by having her permission. So basically, this kind of overwrites that need for those of us that need that. It really comes down to being a security blanket and social acceptance. So we actually get into that a little bit in the group coaching package and Exquisite one-on-one, which is still available as well. But this process is based off of Vita techniques, which formerly were food. I'm so tongue-tied, you guys. I haven't been taking my alpha brain pills lately, and I swear I stutter so much more without them. So mama needs her medicine. But so I used to refer to it as the SLRC, Sex, Love, and Relationship Coaching Program, but they rebranded as Vita. So if you hear me saying that, it's the same thing. But so in this process, it allows you to talk with and then embody your higher self. So you might have heard me talk about your like North Star before, which can be God, it can be the universe, it can be whatever your moral-based belief system is, but whatever kind of like guides what's right and what's wrong, what's allowed and what's forbidden, what's safe and what's scary in your personal belief system, that's kind of your North Star. So by both speaking with and then also embodying your higher self, it's kind of like having a direct conversation with your North Star. So after we go through that little process, we wrap up by integrating with a somatic check-in with your body, and that kind of touches base with like any resistance that comes up around the process that we'll do together. So it's a really gentle process, and I don't expect that anything intense will come up. But honestly, the reason that we even have to do these things is because a lot of times our conscious desires are different than our subconscious or unconscious desires. And so it kind of like gets everything like flowing in the same direction, or at least it gets like all of the little pieces that get fractured and separated within your psyche, kind of collectively back together and on the same page. All right, so you can sign up. There is like a little hiccup with the tech on that, but since I'm building this like whole process to have kind of like an evergreen system going on later in the fall and the winter, I am using a different platform other than Zoom, which is kind of my safety blankie. So the hiccup is that when you get to the confirmation page, you're going to want to click on where it says add to my calendar. On the page that takes you to, there'll be like a little link at the bottom. So whether you actually save that to Google Calendars or whatever you use or not, if you're the type that needs some kind of confirmation, just grab that link. Otherwise, I don't have the system connected yet. It's taking like so much longer than I expected to. And honestly, like, I'm not gonna freak myself out by like getting ahead of schedule. So sorry about that. I will be doing manual like batch emails on Wednesday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday for sure, that give you a confirmation with that link in it and any additional information like the supplies that you will want to have available ahead of time if you're going to do the process live with me, which, oh my God, you guys, I'm so excited to share this with you. It's really exciting stuff. All right, so I know I usually try to like have something a little more sparkly available than this, but I do want to get into the different, like the 9 weeks of processes that are available in the Exquisite group coaching package. It's really hard to even take like 3 out of the one-on-one coaching package, but I wanted to condense things a little bit so that they were a little less scary. And I predict that one of the major differences with like people that I know in person in real life is that these group packages and pre-recorded packages might be a little bit more comfortable for you to have as a container with me, because instead of one-on-one, like me asking you things to be curious about and inspiring you with different ways to have available to look at things, we're going to be doing that part is going to be pre-recorded. So I'm going to be guiding you through a lot of the same practices and inspiring some of the same questions, but instead of doing it face to face where you like actually give your answers to me verbally, you are either going to journal them or you can speak them aloud while recording them and playing the audio or the video to kind of get the answers flowing so that you can refer to them later if that's something that's important to you. Honestly, if you want to, you can just do them out loud. I've found that to be really helpful as well in a pinch. So the Exquisite group coaching package does include 9 weeks of the pre-recorded like processes and coaching. And then there's also 9 weekly Q&A sessions, which are an hour long. I can't remember what day that happens on. I think it's, I have no idea. Sorry, I hate like looking for answers when I'm on a live because it's so distracting. Like, I don't like it when people like ramble. So I try to keep these short. So the first week is the intro and 5 senses, which is kind of similar to the somatic body check-in that we're going to do at the end of the webinar. The second week is Heart Awakening. I'm going to cover that in the webinar because it's included in the starter pack. And then the third week is Safety, Love, and Belonging, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago. If you want to check that out either in my group or on YouTube. The fourth week is the Microcosm, which is an emotional regulation and pleasure transformation process, which I will be talking about on the webinar as well. The fifth week is an empowerment week, which is energetic power, which is kind of the intro, which I'll also be talking about on the webinar. I'm like so bummed out. When I was like jotting out my notes for this, I was like, oh wow, I really picked like the 4 weeks that I love talking about the most to be in the starter pack. And so it's really funny because they're not like the like sexy heavy weeks, but they're actually near and dear to my heart, and they are really impactful. So that's why I love talking about them so much. So I will save that for the webinar. But the 6th week is money empowerment, which I mean is kind of self-explanatory, but like just to share a little bit of my own process. I've been doing a lot of healing and a lot of mindset shifting around money lately, especially around debt. And so I have a little bit of a different perspective than when I originally went through the Vita course, because I mean, we all have like these deep genetic and like learned from early childhood like money patterns, right? So we're definitely going to dive into that, but I also have a little bit of new perspective that I didn't have like even when I was doing with POW the first time. So that's going to be really fun. And like honestly, to be super frank, like sex and money, I don't know why, and I know that everybody says this and I still don't know why, even though it has been true to me, but like money and sex go hand in hand. Like the biggest, like most obvious example is like when I have a good money, like a badass night at my day job, like it makes me so turned on. Like when I'm in a relationship, like I come home and I just like devour my partner. I'm like, woo, let's celebrate. I'm a sexy bitch. Like, look who's rich. It's us. But so it is deeply entwined at an energetic level, even though I'm not really sure what scientifically the link actually is. So the following week is the ladder practice, which I've talked about a lot, and it's honestly, in my opinion, the closest to like sports coaching that I am aware of, where we kind of practice success of the thing that you want to achieve, like your main goal, and we create calm in the nervous system, which I know that that sounds super boring, but it's hot. I'll give another example in my group one of these days. I'm trying to keep it a little bit PG because I'm not in the safety of my group, and I don't want to get reported or like sidelined. I don't want to get put in timeout by the algorithm. Okay, and then the final week of the starter pack is exploring the shadow self, which is a beautiful, profound, slow, like low and slow, and just really beautiful, profound. It's a shamanic journey, honestly. So it's the least scary shadow integration technique that I've ever come across, and it's really one of my favorites. I know that I've talked about that a little bit before too. So I'll get into that a little bit more in the webinar. And then the final week, which is kind of like the crown jewel of Exquisite, and honestly, like everything that comes before this is kind of the foundation of this centerpiece, which is the 3 orgasmic ingredients, which I'm not going to get into too much here, but if there's any interest, I'll do like a longer live stream in my group. But just a teaser, the 3 ingredients are pleasure, expansion, and mind shift. But the focus of this is really on orgasm as nourishment. And that's why I consider it to be kind of like the epitome of Exquisite, because I mean, the main reason that I created Exquisite was for women who are not satisfied sexually. Like I've started talking about it in terms more of like sexual frustration, because you know, all this marketing stuff that I'm learning talks about getting to a pain point, and that makes me really uncomfortable. But the only way that I can justify it to myself is that that is kind of how in this modern world we relate to solutions, is as a way to relieve something that's currently hurting us or upsetting us that we would like to avoid. Whereas it is so much harder to promote something as like, this is a beautiful healing experience. People don't really invest so much in that unless they really have a lot of like free time and energy and money. So I hate playing dirty like that. It's not like playing dirty in a fun way, but it's so I really like to talk about this is a solution for that sexual frustration, for that discontent that comes from when you're not connecting with your partner on that level, because the women that I built this program for really do use orgasm as a nutrient and something that fills us up and something that makes life worth living. And it kind of like adds a little bit of energy and sparkle to each and every day where we get that kind of fulfillment. And so it really is such a beautiful way to end this package, because sorry, I just got chills, but it's kind of the whole point, and it's just taking it to a very grounded, very rooted, very deep, very powerful and meaningful process. So I don't think there are any questions. So if you think of anything, whether you're live or on the recording, please just type it in the chat box. I am going to also put the link for the sales page for Exquisite. Secret between you and me and everyone who watches. I actually put the bonuses on the descriptions here. So I'm going to be taking those off later. But if you want a sneak peek of what those are going to be, in addition to what I was talking about with this group package, and what I'll be talking about on the webinar, I'm going to be offering some exclusive, like, what are they called? Like bonuses, motivational bonuses that basically are like double in value from what I'm charging. And since not everyone is going to be able to take advantage of them, I'm not building that into the price. It really is like a free bonus for people who are able to show up for that. And two things that I want to mention really quickly. I know we're getting kind of up in time, but firstly, if you are not able to make the webinar, if you register for it, you will get access to the recording for a week after the webinar happens live. The only caveat is that the people who just watched the recording are not going to be able to take advantage of those bonuses after the fact. But the second thing is that if you know that you're not going to be able to go on the live webinar and you're interested, I would love to connect with you this week. So, oh gosh, sorry. I'm like, let me just give you one more link because it's obviously not enough. Let's see, services. Okay, just like send me a private message and I'll give you the link for my schedule because it's not pulled up here. But I would love to schedule a discovery call with you this week, and I will honor those bonuses if you sign up before the webinar. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Oh, there's the sales page for Exquisite with all the information, which will be gone tomorrow. So if you're really curious, look it up right away. But thank you for letting me share so much of your time with you. And I really look forward to seeing some of you on Tuesday for the permission. I want to call it a ritual, but it's a process for the webinar. So sending you lots and lots of love. Have a great week, everyone. Mwah. I'll see you soon. Bye.